Welcome back to the Frith Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
And I'm co-host, Scott.
And today we're going over chapters 21 through 25 of Academy Arcanist. As always, we always appreciate y'all subscribing, commenting, sharing, all that fun stuff for us. We do appreciate that. I'm glad to get the information out there and to get more people into the book series itself. We also want to remind everybody the Capital Station Discord server is down in this description section below as well for the link to that. That way you can go over on there and discuss some more Frith Chronicles, and not just Frith Chronicles, but the Astra series. We have all of Shammy's individual works in there, so it is not just for Frith. If you read through the
Starmark, Time Warlock,
Nexus games, all of those. So it's definitely somewhere fun to go and lots of good, interesting conversations. So, and Shammy is fairly active in there too, so if you ever wanted to talk with her. With that, I think we'll get into today's chapters.
Chapter 21 is the first class. The boys are broken into two groups, which are essentially the menagerie group and the upper class groups. And I thought this was pretty funny because, it follows the stereotypes so well of just the classism difference between it. We do see that there's a water dragon in the treehouse, which is really cool. We're starting to see some dragons from the other side, where they actually get to interact with them a little bit more. As they're sitting through their first night, Twain and Soren can't sleep, so this is kind of their time to bond together, practice, see what magical threads that they can pull up to. When they do end up getting to class the next morning, their first class is going to be with Piper and Revi as the teacher, and of course, they're hungover. They had their one good day a year, and they said we're back to it. Gray and Soren were fortunately placed in the same class. Unfortunately, Novak is in that class too, so both the stuck-up dude and the stuck-up unicorn are together and are going to continue to be stuck up. They do have class 6 days a week, so it's a really rigorous schedule. And along with those three boys, the other ones in the class, we do have Mimi, we have Raza, there's a Golem Arcanist, an Earl King Arcanist, a Coetal Arcanist, and the Typhoon Dragon Arcanist.
Whoop, whoop.
We do get some flirting going back with Gray and Ashlyn. A little bit of lying about the Mimic trial and trying to figure out what went on there. And I really appreciated their flirting because it wasn't super cheesy. It was more competitive flirting, which felt like a nice breath of fresh air and not oh, I'm going to start reading some Typhoon Dragon smut out here.
I agree with that, especially with the way that the banter.
It is.
Banter between them, the constant, it's them competing, but the way that they're doing it, there's more to it than that.
It's very witty. It's very off the cuff. It does feel like they actually have kind of a back and forth connection going already. And then, of course, we do finally get to see our favorite professor, Professor Helmith, arrives.
And this is where chapter 22 starts up with Professor Helmith. Gray instantly goes up and says hi to his honeysuckle, and it gets the cold shoulder. Ouch.
Down.
Gray instantly is starting to think this is not the real Professor Helmith, not only because she did acknowledge him or recognize him, she also doesn't have the same mannerisms that she had shown previously in his dreams, and he tries to kind of chalk this up as maybe that was a dreams, but maybe not.
It's a little too much that's off. It's not oh, she has a random twitch now. It's everything seems just off.
Exactly. Not Barty Crouch Jr. flicking his tongue out, but but we do get some more explanation as far as how the years work, as far as what they're studying. We do get only the first couple years at this point in time. We are told that year 1 is strictly general studies. They're going to be going over several courses, just general information, how to use their magic, that kind of thing. And later on into their year 2, they're going to get an option for 5 different specialties. They have the knights, who are the arcanist military officers, the artificers, who are basically your research and development along with imbuing. We have mystic guardians, who are, I think they just kind of get renamed as mystic seekers or from the mystic seekers. I feel like there's such a bad tint in their name that they need to change it so that it's not the same.
Rebranding a little.
Yeah. Just don't take the old man off the logo, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Tank the stock.
We also have the cultivators, who are there for improving the land and the quality of life for people in general. And lastly, we have the viziers, which are the politicians, the strategists, and in general, the higher education group. They also get supplies, and they get these really lavish robes for what they are, for where they're at even. And all of a sudden, this weird competition happens about how soft the fabric is and how Novak knows the best fabric in the world. I can't remember who it was, but somebody was talking about how they felt the most exquisite fabric in the world with their pillowcases. And...
Flex, but okay.
Right. And this is coming centrally from Novak, which is the trade merchant's boy that is trying to be the prestigious. So we also are definitely still getting super sketched out by Helmith, and that there are still some more quirks that she's giving off that is definitely not like the one he knows from his dream. We also get introduced to the 3 books that they're going to be using throughout this year, and we have a magical bestiary, world history, economics, and famous arcanists, and finally magical studies, a guide to mastering magic. I just want to say that I want these. So Shammy, if you ever, we have the bestiary, but if you ever happen to get bored and want to write something a little off, not necessarily mainline, I'm sorry. I want them.
I would purchase.
Absolutely, without a doubt. We also have a competitor with Ashlyn Cross, who happens to be the Typhoon Dragon Arcanist. And again, just love the banter between these two, and kind of get that instant, we know that these are going to be the 2 main characters we're going to be seeing throughout the rest of the series, and are going to enjoy for the rest of the time that we're reading about them.
Chapter 23 is Academy Life. We do find out that, unfortunately, Professor Helmith has a husband. Sorry, Gray. I know, no more honeysuckle. Gray is, however, still very suspicious of her. And it's strange or coincidental that her husband has to be gone for months at a time for his job, so he's away on business and won't be back for several months, which is a little fits too nicely with the somebody would notice if it wasn't her. Gray does get her with the old blueberry tart trick, which just felt so cheesy, but I could also picture me as a 15-year-old doing that and being oh, that's proof.
Got you.
Caught him in a lie. The one thing Gray does, he gets this, he goes back to Soren, he's yeah, I know it's not her, but then there's also the thing of what do I do about this? Nobody seems to know her very well. She works very secluded, so there's not really someone he can go to and be it's not her, and I know because she said her favorite dessert was a blueberry tart. So it's just not gonna hold up in court when it comes down to it. Novak does get pretty angry that he isn't considered one of the fancy arcanists. He is grouped with the menagerie crew. And we do have this conversation with Raza where Raza's pretty much I don't care about it unless I can use it to fight. General knowledge, not useful. I can't fight with it.
Then he gets an Eldarin that can't. Well, I mean, he can create minor illusions, tangible illusions. I don't see how that's super helpful in fighting.
It's not honestly, the unicorn would have been better for fighting, because at least you would have increased stamina, you'd have some actual physical prowess to go with it. You know, the force evocation. So it is very strange that he did bond with a kitsune, but it also makes it feel like there's just a lot more to that story, because like what happened that all he cares about is being able to fight.
They also do put quite a lot of emphasis on the scars that he has on his face and like him tracing them. So there's definitely some mystery and some backstory that we're definitely going to need to know more about with Raza. In chapter 24, the most powerful student, we now have PE class, and this is going to be essentially an all-day class, I guess, based off of their schedule. It's like 10 hours of learning.
10 hours of training. I mean, they're going through rigorous training. It's not dodgeball.
Exactly, and they can restore their bodies fairly quickly because they're arcanists. So I don't think we're gonna be like Zaxxus level when he was a Phoenix Arcanist, just freaking pounding things and having his jerky pouch. We have Soren, Ninny, and Gray are like their own little like clique or group now, and they kind of get labeled as the weird ones.
To be fair,
And
she's bonded with a Reaper.
yeah.
It is the symbol of death.
Right. And then you have Soren's Nightmare, which is literally just kind of a pool of shadow.
In Gray's bonded with a cat, nobody knows what the trial of worth is. So you assume it was something sketchy.
Right. So as much as we hate to admit it, it's a fairly accurate statement. Slowly but surely, we're trying to find out if any other professors know if Helmith is off kilter or not being herself. I love how blunt he is when he comes up to the other professors, though, because he's just like, "Hey, do you know Professor Helmith? Have you noticed anything off by it with her?" At all. I vote to not have him as a PI.
No. Were you around when the murder happened?
Right.
Did you see anything? No, we don't think you're a suspect. No.
Not at all. Although Twain is really excited to be a detective, and again, I think that there should be some subtlety in this and some finesse, but I guess to each their own. And again, we see all this playful banter with Ashlyn, and I love it.
Getting into chapter 25, so kind of the start of class, and Egha gets a demerit for being late, and they find out if you get so many demerits, like it shows up on your record, and apparently, they weren't told of this, and Egha's complaining that it wasn't fair, and he's like, well, you only got one. So it is a very funny system. It does feel very much like the driver's ed school where you'd like get the demerits for like your driver's test or whatever. So Leon does demonstrate the various types of magic with his Cerberus. Egha gets very sassy with Nazbit and almost gets a second demerit on the first day of class, which would be pretty impressive.
I mean, Nazbit was being in Mr. Know-It-All. Okay. He is. Like, well, actually, there's a notice on every dormitory saying exactly what the merit system is and everything.
Yeah, he definitely read all of the instructions in the agenda that they give out on the first day.
The full itinerary.
Yes. Everyone is going about kind of demonstrating their evocation, and there's a lot of crap being given to the tier 2s, which I think is, it is the only way they really have to rank, but we have seen like tier 2s be very successful. Obviously, Rizzles are tier 2, and that's one where it's like, hey, Ilya's extremely capable arcanist and probably stronger than a lot of tier 3s. But that's just their way of classing it up. So Novak is again grouped into these tier 2s, even though unicorns are like protectors of the queen. It's a tier 2 Eldrin, and he's not happy about being the butt of the joke.
And he's also that character that you want to try to give the benefit of the doubt to, but then he does stuff that you're just like, okay, screw you, man.
You don't deserve it. You're digging yourself in a hole.
Exactly. Like, I want to be nice and I want to be friends, but and the fact that he is the only tier 2 in this group with having the rest of them being tier 3 and then having Ashlyn at tier 4.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult. Even Twain is capable of getting up to the higher tiers. The Reaper capable of getting up to higher tiers very dangerously, but it can get there. Let us grow strong together. We shall murder many.
And with that, we're going to end this week's chapters. With next week, we're going to take a break from the Academy Arcanist, since we are getting pretty much halfway through, or at least we're a little over halfway through now. We're going to take a look at the last few sections of the Arcanist fables that we have not covered yet. And with that, did you want to do the Stone Golem? All right. With that, we're going to do the Stone Golem for Nazbits, since he has a Stone Golem. The Stone Golems are mystical creatures made out of rocks, and they're held together by magical threads. The golems are made of a single type of stone, so pretty much whatever the most common stone is that they are born from is going to be what they are. And so they're from sandstone, then they're going to be a sandstone golem. If they're from shale or marble, even granite. They're not very common to see the granite ones, but they do still occasionally happen. And they occasionally do have metal ore throughout their body, but it is extremely rare. The golems are fairly humanoid shaped with no mouth or eyes, but as they age, they do gain more rocks to their body and grow larger and taller. Their trial of worth is that they must undergo a test of resilience. This often includes pain, carrying heavy objects, or even going long periods of time without eating. These are definitely a tier 3 level mystical creature. Their reproduction is a fable birth. They are born whenever a well-loved doll is discarded near a pile or a formation of specific mineral type. The doll must be human-shaped, and it must have been adored by someone for at least 10 years before being adored. With their evocation, they are able to evocate rocks and dust, and they are able to slowly evocate it. Basically, rocks, pebbles, and stone dust. They can evoke more the older that their golem gets, and the more talented the Arcanist is. They're able to manipulate stone, and more specifically, they're able to manipulate stone that their golem is made out of. So again, sandstone golem, they're going to be able to manipulate sandstone, marble, and so on and so forth. Their augmentation is strength, and when they augment themselves and others, that they are granted increased strength and durability, and they can always increase their strength. This increase in strength can make individuals superhuman in terms of power. That is awesome. I love it. Their imbuing is strength, in that the golem magic often creates items that grants resistance to damage and hunger. And again, this is like another creature that I imagine Link got his bomb bracelets made out of. Or even the gold gauntlets. Probably the gold gauntlets, actually. With their auras, it's called a quake. And they are able to cause the ground to rumble, shake very hard until basically a full-blown earthquake happens. The earthquake can bring down buildings, knock over trees, and shatter boulders. This does not affect the Stone Golem or its Arcanist, and they could walk around as though the ground was not shaking. That is a pretty awesome aura, being able to withstand or not be affected by it. Its innate abilities is that the golems themselves do not need to eat, drink, sleep, or breathe. So they are pretty much akin to the nightmares, akin to your reapers that don't need to actually eat. They can also stone step through stones that match the golem's type. So if there's a sandstone building and they're a sandstone golem, they can just kind of like step through it, just like shadow stepping or blood stepping. They are also, them and their Arcanists have tremor sense whenever they're on dirt or rocky terrain, so they'll be able to feel which direction the hobbits are going and how fast the Orcai are moving through Middle Earth. Their true form type is a virtue, and that they must embody the ideas of true love in order to transform. And this also encompasses selfless adoration for another and the desire to make sure that their life is filled with good times under. I think this kind of swings back to their their creation, their fabled birth of having these dolls that had to be adored for at least those 10 years. Now, their true form appearance is that the golem gains more human-like features, including a stone face, elongated fingers, and a thicker torso. They also have glittering veins of metal throughout its whole body that sparkle no matter how much light is around. Their true form ability is terrain distortation. Their true form ability is terrain distortation. A true form stone golem, as well as its arcanist, can change any dirt, sediment, or stone into their desired material, so long as they're within 100 feet of it. Their material does remain their desired choice until the stone golem or its arcanist leaves the area. That would be very useful and handy for them to be able to create more sandstone or marble or granite or whatever to be able to manipulate it more. Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, there are endless possibilities on that one. The in-world lore is stone golems are seen as protectors and gentle giants. Some civilizations even have traditions that form the golems themselves, with every 10 years holding a doll festival where dolls are made and old ones are discarded out in the quarries. Most of these consider stone golems to be rather powerful and dependable, meaning their arcanists are welcome no matter where they travel. The real-world inspiration that came from this is the stone golems based off the clay golems from the Jewish folklore. In these myths, clay is given life in order to be a mindless servant for its master. The stone golems in the Frith Chronicles use those tales for inspiration in the creation of these creatures. And that ends the stone golems bestiary section. With that, we're gonna wrap up this episode today. If you guys were interested in looking to other genres like lit RPG, there is a great series called Tower Apocalypse. There's 4 books in the series. Ryan Tang actually helped co-write this book. Scott, I know you're reading through the second one, you said?
I just finished the second one. It is amazing.
Awesome. It's one of those, I wasn't sure what I was getting into with it, but then all of a sudden, I was sucked into it. There was no putting it down.
Yeah, it's crazy just because it's so much more involved. It's not just lit RPG from a character progression, but there's towns and fisheries and a whole village, and it's a lot more detailed than a lot of lit RPGs.
It's like having Farmville in a book.
Yes, Farmville, Age of Empires, any of those Dominion games.
Here I keep dating myself with referencing these really old games. But I would definitely give that a try. Ryan Tang and Cassie Lang are the authors for that series. And again, I've enjoyed it. Scott is enjoying it so far. So if you're looking for something different, something outside of Shammy's world, essentially, definitely give them a try. So with that, Scott, do you have anything else you'd like to add today?
No, halfway through the first book of the series already. We are moving.
Woo! Still waiting to hear back about the last book of the series, along with the second B series. So, fingers crossed. By the time this episode comes out, maybe we'll have some more information. With that, we'll end today's episode, and thank you.